Welcome to the Women in Industry podcast. My name is Kirsty Davies-Chinnock, and today I'm joined by Tenille Houston. Tenille is a seasoned entrepreneurial executive with over 15 years of leadership experience, spanning non-profit organisations to Fortune 500 companies. She's a TEDx speaker and has earned accolades such as the Automotive Inspiration of the Year award from Wards and Auto and Informa Tech. And mostly she's fascinated by innovation, whether it's revolutionising the automotive industry, shaping infrastructure advancements, or champion autonomous technology. And autonomous technology is the theme of today because Tenille is the VP in Public Relations and Communications of, I'm going to get it wrong now, Aurrigo International
Aurrigo.
PLC. Aurrigo.
Yes.
I practiced as well,
Right?
didn't I? I practiced.
This is your one thing. There's always one thing.
There is always. And Aurrigo are an international designer and developer of fully integrated smart airside solutions for the aviation industry, including automated vehicle systems and software. They're headquartered in Coventry in the UK, but they have offices in Singapore and Ottawa, and they have over a 30-year heritage designing and supplying automotive vehicle manufacturers with highly advanced, innovative products and system solutions. They supply some of the world's leading airports, and customers choose to partner with them to transfer all their baggage and cargo handling operations. And what they specialise in is improving safety, operational efficiencies, and most importantly, meeting sustainability targets, whilst navigating the huge increase in growing passenger volumes. So thank you, Tenille. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And your career is fascinating. I don't think there isn't anything you've not done. So just to give a quick summary of some of the highlights of your career so far, you've worked with non-profits, you're an actor, you're a red carpet host, you're a contract specialist, a director of communications, a spokesmodel, and you work for some huge brands like JLR, Virgin and Toyota. So I have to ask, when you were a little girl, what did you actually want to be when you grew up?
None of those things, funny enough. You would think that would give me plenty to choose from. I wanted to be a marine biologist. And then I realized that there are sharks and they would probably find me in particular. So maybe I need to alter my career decision.
I can't believe you just said sharks. Earlier this week, I did a 5 things you might not know about me post on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1 was, I am terrified of sharks.
Right? I always say they'll find me. People are like, there's not sharks here. It's open water. They can go anywhere and they can find me.
Yeah. I in Birmingham in the UK, we've got a sea world.
Yeah.
And, in the middle of the UK, there's not a lot of sea. But they do have a shark tunnel. And I pushed my son through it when it opened. He was in a pushchair. I walked through it with my eyes closed. I don't know how I didn't crash.
That's funny.
Have you ever braved the shark tunnel?
So not only have I braved the shark tunnel, but in Atlantis, they have also the waterfall or the water slide that goes through a shark tank.
Ooh,
but
no.
Even crazier than that, when I was in the Bahamas once, I actually did the the diving where you go out on a boat. They throw chum into the water and the nurse sharks are all there and they come up as you're swimming on top. And I was the first one to get back out because I was like, they're getting too close. And everyone's, oh, they're nurse sharks. They won't bite you. I'm like, nope, they have teeth. They're getting too close. I'm getting back in the boat. Thank you. Checked it off the list. Never again.
Yeah, no. I was on a little boat in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd gone out to do the dolphin watching. And we did that every time we went. And we're all looking over the side of the boat. And wasn't it lovely? And then it was a baby. It was probably only about 10 foot long. This baby hammerhead shark.
Oh, my gosh.
It was just there. I was the other side of the boat. It's like, no.
I would be too. Like, nobody move.
No. So
Yeah.
everyone's like taking pictures, and I'm like, can we go now, please? Can
This
we
is too
go?
close, too close for comfort.
The only time in my life I attempted water skiing was in Florida. It was many years ago. I was about 17. And what I didn't realise is when you fall in, they drive away, sail away, and come back to you.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this boat drives off, and I'm very aware of the depth below me, that emptiness that is
Yeah,
probably filled with things that want to eat me.
I completely understand. We are on the same page.
Oh. So, so deciding that sharks weren't for you, you've done so many things. You're an actor. You've been in, some high profile um, TV series. Did you go to study acting, or was that sort of a happy
Um,
accident?
so it's really interesting, and it's funny because they all seem kind of different, but in a way they all are the same. So I was raised with my parents saying like, I really want you to be the first person to finish college in the family. So I always had this mentality of like going to university, going to college after I graduated. And when I was, I would say like, I don't know, in my like late teens, I did some like fun stuff in front of the camera, like little modeling commercial work. And I thought, oh, that's fun. But I still was very focused on getting a degree. And I got a degree in psychology and sociology, thinking like, okay, I'll work with people. It being that the sharks aren't going to work for me, I'm going to work with people. Much easier. And I actually, worked at a psychiatric hospital for a while. And then I realized it was just something that was so, I mean, kudos to people that are in the mental health industry. It is really just, draining. And it's so sad being a part of some of it where, people are dropping off children. There was child and adolescent units and people that were having like psychotic breaks. And I just thought, oh my goodness, in order to kind of make this into a career, you have to get a doctorate. And I just didn't really feel like going down that path. So I thought, what can I switch to that's similar, oddly enough? And that's when I got into public administration. If you actually look at the degrees, they're very, very similar. Again, it's working with people, but they're not diagnosed mental health issues. The idea is like you're running state and local governments, because I'm from the United States. So when I say state and local versus provincial here in Canada, where I'm located now with Aurrigo as part of their Canadian team. But yeah, kind of moved into that space, and that's where the contracting came into play. Is you're running state and local governments, and you need to be able to contract and procure, to make a seamless transition and make the wheels of government turn, basically. So that's all kind of one underlying piece, and I still always had that creative passion, for acting. And really, I moved to Japan to finish my first degree. My parents were stationed in Okinawa and said, "Do you want to come live on a tropical island?" Again, back to sharks. But do you want
They're
to come here?
following you
They're following me
everywhere.
everywhere now that I say it out loud. So yeah, so I decided to go to Japan and finish my degree there, and that's when the acting bug really hit me. As a blonde Caucasian in Asia, I got scouted pretty quickly and just got into some acting, and it was really really fun. But I always kept my both things moving forward, right? Like, so I would be doing this acting and also working at that time for like Northrop Grumman and government contracting. And then finally, it just kind of the opportunity presented itself to focus more into acting. And as an actor, you're marketing and it's all about communications and marketing and PR. That's a huge aspect. So I kind of had been shifting into that world of marketing, and they just fell hand in hand. And like you said, I was working with really big brands in the acting space, hosting. So working with like Virgin, working with Toyota. They were a client for 7 or 8 years. I went to all of their auto shows across the US, and even I got to go to Japan. So really exciting stuff with them. And it's all about, again, just it's a combination. When you're like a spokesperson, right, you're talking about the brand and the product, and it's you're acting, you're hosting, it's bringing it all together. And that's kind of how my career formulated into this dual track of acting in front of the camera, but also acting and marketing for brands.
And a lot of your brand work, as you developed, was automotive. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, now your role, which of course is public relations and communications, that's also automotive, although it's not cars. did you have a fascination with transport, or was it more of a, I'm learning a bit about it with my work, actually I'm really enjoying it and I'm going to expand on it?
I did always love like go being outdoors. I was one of the few girls that I knew that knew how to drive a manual drive vehicle. I loved four wheeling. So I love vehicles in that regard. Like I love going out in nature and going, I've been to Moab, Utah and been able to like do these crazy, crazy trails. So I've always been fascinated with automotive in that sense. And then it just kind of kept, as soon as I started like really focusing with brands like with Toyota, it's so amazing when you start learning about all the tech that goes into these vehicles, and then you're talking with it, to consumers that still don't necessarily know what a hybrid vehicle is, and it's so amazing to kind of take this leap. And I really got excited, as they moved into hydrogen vehicles and electric vehicles. So it just kind of started snowballing. And once you, I guess, kind of get into it, you just keep going. And the vehicles themselves that people get to buy are getting smarter and smarter. And then of course, over the last 5 to 10 years, we're hearing more and more about autonomy. And I just think it's so fascinating. And yeah, so I got to, it's been a wonderful thing where I didn't necessarily think in high school I'd be working at an autonomous vehicle company specializing in aviation 20 years down the road. But it's just slowly progressed. And even with Aurrigo, we focused on public transit. So we really started with these smaller auto pods, which were 4-seater, almost golf cart size, into shuttles. So moving people between, like in Birmingham, Birmingham Airport, we were
Yeah.
actually moving people around there, and at the NEC. So Cambridge. So we were moving a lot of people in the public domain. And then we really got into the aviation space in 2017-ish when we were approached by British Airways and London Heathrow to do a trial of, they saw everything we were doing, flying the flag, the UK flag in autonomy, public domain, public transportation domain. And they said, what can you do airside? And we've never looked back.
It's great to sort of see the evolution not only of the technology, but the evolution in push for it to be more sustainable,
Mhm.
more efficient, safer, and almost like the evolution to think differently.
Definitely.
And I think that's obviously where the company is really um, succeeded, but also yourself, because you've done so many interesting things. When I was reading your LinkedIn profile, um, as well as working all over the world, you co-founded a company, Auto Guardian, with Smart Cone in Canada. Um, what made you want to do this? Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was something. So I was working with SmartCone as their chief communications and marketing officer. And basically they provided smart technology that could go across many use cases. And one of them happened to be kind of almost providing a secondary surrounding where an autonomous vehicle could be driving. And then as it moved about, it could see, lights far, far in the distance, where it would communicate with passengers. It's basically V2X communication, right? So the vehicle says to the passenger that we're coming, and vice versa. And realizing that the different pieces that SmartCone could apply in the industries it could go to, they realized right away. The CEO realized that he wanted to kind of divide it into multiple types of companies per solution, and so the vulnerable road user sector and that vehicle to everything communication was where I was most focused. And so, interestingly enough, we were looking. I was even trying to help look for a CEO for that role and a co-founder, and I was doing all the marketing and building the website and understanding the solution. And I had kind of sold those initial solutions that would make that company move forward. And then we just weren't finding the right person. And finally, I was like, you know what, this could be me. Like I'm ready for this. I've managed, I've led. And I want to take on that next role. So it was a really exciting step where hard work and opportunity met up at the right time.
It sounds like it, and it also sounds like you're not afraid to um, take a risk
Yes.
and just try.
Yeah.
One of the things I say is, if I'm going to fail, damn it, I'm going to fail spectacularly.
I love it. What a
It's just
quote.
like,
Yeah.
I think things like confidence isn't about doing things right.
Mhm.
Confidence is about doing something with the chance you might get it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Because
mean, that's exactly what my TEDx talk was actually kind of all about. It was, you know, take that chance, go, open that unexpected door and see where it leads you, because it could turn into something so exciting. And if not, go back to what you were doing. But I mean, really, like for me as an actor, I was, doing these exciting things, but to me, I was failing. It is so hard in the industry to just have consistent work and making money. And so it was like, you think you're doing all these amazing things, but it's just, you get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, this is just such a grind. Is this where I want to keep going? Or do I want to see what other options are available to me? And it's kind of like I started exploring both, and these other options where it ended up being, again, marketing and chief marketing officer and communications officers, like all of these was growing so much faster than the other. And I just thought, wow, I'm enjoying both. So let me step away from this one thing and try something new. And it grew into to leading me where I am today, which is really exciting.
it could have been the other way round,
100% could have
It's,
completely
yeah.
smashed and burned, and hopefully spectacularly.
And I have to ask, when you were sort of doing your red carpet hosting, who was the nicest celebrity you ever met?
Oh, I have met some really, really nice celebrities, and on the opposite end, really not so kind celebrities. But
I know, but I imagine you're probably not allowed to say who they are.
probably not that. I actually got to be a host at an event for Andrea Bocelli, and
Okay.
he's so amazing and kind, and I got to meet him, and he's just so gracious and humble, and just an amazing person. So I think that was something that stuck with me. It was pretty exciting. And also Richard Branson, like getting to, I didn't chat with him on the red carpet, but working with him for the launch of their whole Virgin Gaming line that they had done over a decade ago. He's just a really, really cool, awesome guy. The vibes you get from him, on TV, he is that person in real life.
He always comes across as someone who, whilst ambitious and innovative himself, really encourages that in people that he
Yes.
works with,
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
rather than sort of going, "It's all me, it's all mine."
Yeah.
You see him credit other people's
Hmm.
ideas, which
Yeah.
I really really like.
Me too.
So, how did the move for you from automotive to aviation handling solutions come about?
Yeah, so that was really demand led. So when I started at Aurrigo 3 years ago, we still were focused on, well, gosh, 4 years? Oh my goodness, it's like, can't even. We were still more focused on the public transit solutions. We were working in the background. We had one big customer, aviation wise, that we were still working with, but our main contracts and a lot of our communications and PR was all around our shuttle, our auto shuttle. But then as we've started to make this shift, and then we actually went public on the London Stock Exchange. And when we went public a few years back, it was all with that focus in aviation. So it really just kind of shifted. And now I'm, flying on planes and looking out the window at the baggage tractors that are servicing the plane and thinking, wow, this is amazing. I never thought I'd be looking at it this way. How many vehicles? How many people? What's this turnaround? What's the delay? And now all of a sudden I'm just thrown into full on aviation everything.
It was in April, wasn't it, that you launched the autonomous vehicles?
For
Uh,
auto cargo we launched
Auto
in this
cargo, yeah.
April. Yeah, it was very, very exciting. So we basically have the vehicle you can see in this photo here. Okay. This is our auto dolly tug. So this is the most standard vehicle. Like when you look out your window of a plane, you see baggage tractors of this size
Yeah.
moving what's called ULDs, unit load devices. All your baggage and different cargo stuff is in there. And so, with the demand for this vehicle, we had another really exciting project with East Midlands Airport and UPS. to make an even bigger cargo version called Auto Cargo, and we just launched it on April 2nd, I think it was. So just a little over a month ago, and it's going to make its way to EMA to work at the hub there and start moving cargo autonomously. So we've been making some really amazing leaps and bounds over the last few years in the aviation space.
And it sounds sort of, quite quick when you sort of summarize it. But obviously, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people hours in there finalizing the projects, testing the R&D, the manufacturing trials and scope. What do you think that this advancement is going to do for the industry?
I mean, it's completely, we feel like it's turning it upside down on its head. I mean, if you look at the aviation industry, they haven't seen change in baggage and cargo handling in decades. So, the same equipment over years with slight changes. So really, especially since COVID as well, you're seeing this shift from workforce, getting people to be able to get on site, get security cleared. Air travel is back up to pre-COVID levels at most airports around the world, and there are projections to meet and exceed. So really trying to understand, how can we support ground handlers? How can we really be able to use this technology to start to increase the turnaround time for airports and airlines, and get people happily on their way. So, we really feel like the use case is there. And interestingly enough, it seems like, oh, we just got into aviation in 2017, 2018. We already have the second vehicle, but really, it's been over a decade that we've been in the autonomous space, and the ADS, or the autonomous drive system, that's at the core, and it's on each of our vehicles. So really, you're just starting to adapt that for the new vehicle, size, what it's doing. So maybe some extra cameras or less cameras, or more LiDAR or less, so it's really just about shifting those sensors and, shifting that ADS that's tried and true. Like you said, with all of these countless deployments and countless man hours as we move through, space and time and grow.
And are you allowed to share the announcement that was made this morning?
Yeah, I was going to say I was going to ask you the same. We had the most exciting morning. It was very, very busy, where we announced our partnership with Swissport. And this is definitely, game changing. They are leading in the field. So it was really amazing to be able to announce that today, along with our very first project. So not only is this partnership showcasing us working with Swissport globally to bring our Auto Dolly Tug, the vehicle we have behind me, and our Auto Sim, which is our digital sim tool to actually help airports like map out what it would
Yeah.
look like to introduce this technology. So we're going to work with them on a series of airports as they start to research and find the best locations for our technology. And we already signed that very first agreement to trial at Zurich Airport. So not only just the partnership agreement, but the project announcement for the first launch went out today, and it is very, very exciting for us.
Well, many
Thank
congratulations,
you so
because
much.
it's the start of something that I think is really sort of going to snowball.
Yes,
And
yes.
and what's next? I mean, obviously, without giving any secrets away, what do you see next for innovation in the sector?
Well, I feel like everyone just, once they see and hear the words autonomous, they almost feel that like it's so simple in a way, but really what's next is it's just, everything's always evolving. There's new sensors, new technology, the latest and greatest. We're always trying to push the boundaries of our software so that it can operate, in severe weather, because again, if you can't operate these to match the level of a standard baggage tractor or cargo vehicle, then then that uptake is not going to happen. So we've worked very hard with our rain algorithms so that we can actually operate in up to 50 millimeters of rain per hour, which is really above and beyond the levels that are needed and that are standard today. And then we're doing the same thing in winter weather, right? So I'm here in Ottawa, Canada. It's very, very cold. I used to live in the UK, but it's very, very cold here. So we, of course, continue testing, and we have an exciting shuttle project coming here to Ottawa, where we're going to put everything through the paces with, severe winter testing to try to do the same thing we did with rain, just continue to grow that snow and that, different climate for our ADS.
It sounds incredibly exciting. And I think I think it's great to sort of see that the advancement of autonomous vehicles. I think sometimes the media can sensationalize it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of say they're going to crash, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. But the technology is there to help them. And you mentioned about the research with sort of like the vulnerable foot passenger.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that happened with the first electric cars was that people who are blind couldn't hear the car come in.
Yeah.
So adjustments were made.
Exactly. I mean, just think of horse and buggy to car. Can you imagine that one day? One day a horse is pulling your carriage, then you're getting in a vehicle that's motorized. I mean, that is so far from a vehicle to an autonomous vehicle, right? But exactly like you said, I mean, people like to sensationalize, but yeah, the point is it is safer than a human driver because there's no fatigue, there's no texting and
There are
distraction.
no idiots.
There you go. You said it, not me. So yes, so it is much safer, but we have to interact. The autonomous vehicles still have to interact with the world around us. And until we become more automated, there's still always going to be that ebb and flow of, that the human driver that's impatient because the autonomous vehicle is following the speed limit. So therefore they go and cut them off, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
all,
but they do that to me because I follow the speed limit.
right.
I'm really boring. I've had one driving ticket in 35 years of driving, one speeding ticket.
And no one likes those.
I'm
So
not getting a second one.
I hear you. I had enough in my youth, and now I'm like to the T. I'm like, plus or minus 5.
Oh, plus or minus 5 is just like the variation
Exactly.
that's different.
Very
I must admit, I find the sort of idea of autonomous vehicles really exciting, but also a bit scary. But that's just down to my age, new things. You have to try them a few times, see them before you start being comfortable with them. It doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly.
And a friend of mine was in a human, no, what was it? Human-free Uber. So there was no driver last week in Los Angeles. And the video she sent just looked amazing. And I was like, if I was in Los Angeles, I would be booking one because I have to try this. Because what an experience that, most people aren't going to get that in the UK for a few years. So to be able to try it now is
well,
really
we can
exciting.
have you out on one of the shuttles. We still have a safety operator that sits there, but they are not driving. So the next time we have a deployment up in the UK, which there's a lot of stuff happening right now, we'll give you a ring and make sure we get you on the vehicle because there's been so many demonstrations there. So we'll definitely keep you in the loop.
I'd love to.
But it's all about that. It's all about public acceptance and getting people out and comfortable. And that's why these trials are so important. Some people, well, why are you spending, this money just to have a vehicle for 3 months or 6 months or something like that when it's not, you're buying it just to be in service from here on out. And it's exactly that. Again, educating, getting people on board, getting them comfortable, getting them excited, because it is going to take time. As much as people want to be forward thinking, it takes time.
I'm trying to remember when the monorail shuttle at Birmingham Airport in the NEC was installed.
Oh, the monorail. Oh, yeah, I don't know the monorail.
15 years ago, maybe longer. And that's an autonomous vehicle, and everybody goes on that, and no one blinks an eyelid.
I know.
So it always makes me think of the Simpsons episode of Monorail, though, whenever I'm on it. So
that's great.
Finally, Tenille, could you tell me what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So I would say, and we were kind of almost talking about this too, and it's funny enough from Richard Branson, but he had a quote that always stuck with me. If someone offers you an amazing opportunity, and you're not sure you could do it, then learn how to do it and like learn how to do it later. What is it? Or say yes and figure it out later. Something like that. But yeah, say yes and figure it out later. So I just love that mentality of you might not think you know how to do something, but you can do it, right? Like we said, or you can fail spectacularly. But I think that's the best piece of advice. Don't get comfortable and just go for it and figure it out on the way. I'm actually right now, I'm building a built-in bookcase in my daughter's room. Have I ever done this before? Nope. Has it been challenging? Yep, but I'm figuring it out as I go.
You learn more when you figure it out as you go.
Exactly.
And not always the lessons you think you're going to learn, but
Oh
you
yeah,
do
yeah.
learn
I mean,
more.
I'm not going to quit my job and become a woodworker anytime soon, but it's exciting.
Or if you do decide to do that, I do know a company that's headed up by a female CEO in the West Midlands. So,
Love that. Love that.
Tenille, thank you so much for taking the time on such a busy day to talk to me. Thank
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate you having me.